Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Revisit again as we creep ever closer to spring football here in the state of Illinois for 2021. And again, you look at IHSA football in Chicagoland, especially in the south suburbs over the last 3-4 years. And there's been a handful of programs that have really, really made strides. And I'm very excited and happy to bring in the head coach of one of those programs, Morgan Weaver from Hillcrest. And my friend, first of all, it's great to see you virtually.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get in there to come see you, but this damn thing called the pandemic fired up and
Yeah.
kind of put everything on hold. But
Yeah.
appreciate you taking some time during the day to join me.
No problem. No problem. Thanks for having me.
No, glad to. Well, I talked about it at the beginning. You get that program rolling. I mean, it's you've 31-6 over the last 3 years. The last 2 years, you've been double-digit wins. You went semifinals 3 years. God, I lose track of time.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
I guess it was 3 years ago. 2 years ago, you were in the quarters, and I know you're an alum. I know it means a lot to you to get your home school turned around. And what's been the key to success? Because let's face it, Coach, you look in the south suburbs. If your name pretty much isn't Lincoln Way or there's a handful of others, HF, Crete. It hasn't been a lot of success coming out of the South Burbs. You've been one of the few. So how have you gotten it done at Hillcrest?
Here at Hillcrest, we're always going to have the athletes for our school. The biggest thing was instilling the discipline, accountability, and having those guys understand that taking care of the little things in school would allow them to be successful out on the field. So once guys were able to understand that, we started to see the turnaround and put a better product out there on the field. A lot of guys that we have been getting or that's been coming into our school as freshmen, a lot of those guys have aspirations to play at the collegiate level. So a lot of my staff, they either coached or played at the collegiate level. So, I guess it's a great mixture of us having that experience and those guys wanting to get to that next level and really trusting in us because they know we walk these same halls, we walk the same neighborhoods, play in the same little leagues. So, everything that they're going through, we've been through it. We can relate. It helps with me not being so much older. I actually took over the program at 25. So it's pretty young then, and I can relate to the guys and have that energy going around the school.
Yeah, no, that's some great points. You mentioned having the athletes in the building, and I mean, we all know it's one thing to have them in the building, but it's another to actually get them to come out. And I think at Hillcrest, and again, I mean, I grew up in Cal City. I went to TF North. I'm very familiar with Hillcrest over the years. And for a long time, Hillcrest and maybe they always will be looked at as a quote unquote basketball school.
Yeah.
But, and you guys embrace that success, and you should, because it's a tremendous tradition at Hillcrest. But it seems like those walls have come down a bit. It seems like you're able to get those athletes. How important was it to maybe go to the basketball coaches and work with them and say, hey, you know what, we can make this work?
Oh, it's very, very important. Very important for us. I've known Coach Houston for a long time. Coach Houston was here when I was in high school. So it was a no-brainer for us to make this situation work. And it has always worked in the past too with the previous head coaches. We believe in having multiple sport athletes, whether it's football, basketball, track, whatever it is. I think we're all on one accord of having multiple sport athletes, and that makes life's a lot easier for us as coaches. We don't mind sharing athletes. Like right now.
Yeah, you got no choice now.
Right now, we don't have a choice, and we got it all worked out to where the guys can get all their practices in for football and also finish their basketball season as well.
The thing it's always caught my attention with Hillcrest, and something I'm sure you can address, is community support and administration support as well. It always seems like Hillcrest embraced athletics and the success and supporting those programs. And it seems like that's continued today I know you guys have done some facility upgrades, and You know, that's a big piece of it as well, Coach. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. Having the support from the administration, upgrading the facilities, having the turf, the brand new facility, new weight room, new field house. That allows us for us to do a lot more things and be successful in our athletics program here at Hillcrest. And the community has really rallied behind us these past few years, and we really appreciate it. And we just want to keep that going and building that community support. I know when I first got back, I would go. I'm a big fan of high school football, so I would go to other places, bigger schools, and to see the community support. And I would want the same thing at Hillcrest because I know how important it is for the kids, and just for the community in general. So.
We're coming out of a pandemic that no one saw coming. No one had a playbook for. I know as a coach, you probably had a half dozen different plans that you had to tear up and start over because no one knew if, when, or how things were going to get resolved. How difficult was that for you, number one, as a coach, in trying to? And I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how were you able to kind of keep your kids on track and focused and keeping the academic side up during all this? Because, Coach, it's been incredibly difficult for everyone.
Yeah, it's been extremely tough. I'm a coach that likes to plan out things very, very early in the process, as far as like summer and fall and having schedules and things and ready to go. But with the pandemic, things changed so quickly. So it was kind of almost this plan as you go, and you had to make that adjustment, just keeping the energy and keeping the guys, into it whenever we got a chance to get together with the guys, whether it was Zoom or, if we were able to go lift and things like that, just try to make it fun, keep that energy and keep that faith that, hey, we're possibly going to have a season here, so let's stay ready, stay focused. I know it's tough. We're all going through the same thing. And I actually think that has brought us together more because, you're not just going through this alone. You got 40 other guys who are going through it with you, plus your coaches.
You mentioned recruiting again. You and your coaches have done a great job. You guys have placed a ton of kids since you've been there. But let's face it, this 2021 class, easily the biggest recruiting challenges of any class I can ever remember. And I know you've got some seniors there, and I know of a handful off the top of my head that I think if we would have had a quote unquote normal spring and a normal summer evaluation, they would end up playing, I think, at a much higher level. How frustrating and difficult was that for you and your coaches? And how do you go about trying to promote your kids when a lot of these schools coaches just kind of weren't even listening during all this?
The 2021 class, I would say they're very resilient. I mean, this has been a tough year for those guys, especially with recruiting. For the most part, I was telling my guys that, hey, if you got something on the table during this pandemic, you need to take a strong look at it and take it. No matter what division it is, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, or whatever it is an opportunity for you, for one, to go and get your education, and two, to continue to play football. Football is not going to last forever. It sucks. You're not probably not going to play at the level that you want to play at, but just having that opportunity to go play at the next level. So the stats say 6% only go off to play college football. So that's a very small number.
Yep.
So anyone who's been given a chance or has the opportunity to go, they should be very proud. So.
Before we start digging into the roster and what you got coming back for the spring, we got to start at Marky Serving, right? I mean, it's only he's been the guy the last handful of years, and again, you talk about a young man that just has an incredible athletic ability, and I think you and I can probably maybe do some comp comparisons of some kids out of the south suburbs over the past several years that he's right there with them. I mean, we all know about the on the field success and what he can do. Talk about him off the field. I mean, he's a relatively quiet kid, but what is Minnesota getting in Marquis Serving?
They're getting a kid who's going to compete. He approaches the game like different from any other kid I ever coached. This kid wants to go out and show that, hey, he's the best, and if you're the best, we're gonna go head to head and see who's the guy at the end. He's gonna give his all. He's real quiet. Which you already mentioned off the field. He's not real big in social media and things like that. He has goals and he has plans for his life, and he wants to achieve them. So he's a focused kid and very mature. Had to do a lot of growing up early, and I'm excited to see what his future holds for him.
He had a lot of offers. Obviously, he had a lot of opportunities, and he committed early to Minnesota, and he stuck with it. Was that part of maybe the discussions you would have had with him as far as when you make your decision? And because you could tell from pretty early on after he verbaled, he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah. We talked about recruiting a lot, and at one point it became very, very overwhelming for him during that process. Every coach is telling him the same thing, and I just tried to help him, to go with what's real and who you feel comfortable with as far as schools and getting up on campus, the coaching staff and things like that. Where you see yourself in the next 5 years. I'm big on committing to a school and staying committed to them. Being a man of your word. And he actually followed my lead on that one because he definitely had.
I know.
Still coming for him.
I know that week before signing day, things look like they're getting a little interesting for him.
Yeah, things are definitely getting interesting, and a lot of schools are still coming in. But he stuck with it. He's comfortable. He's comfortable there, and he likes where Minnesota is heading, and he wants to be a part of that tradition out there.
Was there ever any doubt that he would not play this spring? I never thought there'd be any doubt, and I knew for sure he'd play basketball if it was there as well.
Yeah, he's a competitor.
Yeah,
he's a competitor. So when the season was up in the air, we actually had a conversation. I told if you want to graduate early, I'm completely fine with that. If you want to play, I'm completely fine with that too. But the only thing is, if you play, you must go hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to not go hard and put yourself in a situation where you could possibly things could turn bad for you. But he's a competitor, so I don't have to worry about that. So whenever he's out on the field or the court or whatever he's doing, he's going to give his absolute best and bring energy to his team. Real team guy who loves his team and. He just wants his team to be successful. I talked to him the other day. I was like, man, today's basketball senior night, man. I think you should play. And he was like, I don't know, man. I got to get my football team ready. I kind of talked him down, and I want to let him, go ahead and play your.
Go enjoy one more time.
Go enjoy high school, man.
Yeah.
Hard to play again. So,
and Coach, I'm sure you can chime in on this. I give Minnesota and a lot of those bigger schools a lot of credit because it's such a unique situation here with Illinois kids and kids that have committed to Big Ten levels. And I really haven't come across one school that didn't encourage kids to play. And it could have been a different story. And I give those schools a lot of credit. Yeah,
for sure. It definitely gives them a lot of credit. I talked to the coaches and they were fine with everything. So that's huge. That's huge, and that makes them feel comfortable with them as well.
Going down the roster, and I know you've had some changes. I know you had some kids that had transferred in, which there's some pretty good players in that group too. So roster-wise, what has kind of changed since during all this pandemic? Because I know even up into before the pandemic, I know you had a handful of kids that transferred in.
Yeah, we had a handful of kids transfer in. We got a quarterback out of Crete. Caleb Treadwell transferred in. Elijah Tolbert, linebacker from Thornton, who also transferred in as well. We got a couple of other kids that also ended up transferring in. We're going to be young coming into this year. We got a lot of talent skill-wise in our skill positions, our wide receivers, running backs, DBs, safeties. A lot of talent there. We're going to be young against the spots. We're going to be young up front. But the future is going to be bright for us. So we're definitely taking advantage of the spring season. We're going to play a lot of young guys this year, get them experience and get them ready to go for the fall.
I was going to kind of say this is kind of the spring football you always wanted in Illinois, and we're never going to get in some ways because, like Texas and everywhere else where you can have a handful of games and get playing time for your kids to get ready for fall 2021. This might be just the perfect thing.
Yeah.
For you to get those kids lined up and ready for the fall.
Yeah, definitely. It was huge. It was huge for us. We know we're going to be young coming into this year. We actually lost some guys to some injury, some senior guys to injury. So, having these young guys step up and get these 6 games is going to be very meaningful for them, as far as recruiting and as far as playing in the fall for their senior year.
As far as the lower levels, I'm sure that has been a focus of probably your assistant coaches along with yourself. And I mean, that had to be difficult because let's face it, Coach, you guys really didn't even, you didn't have kids in a building because of all this.
Yeah.
And how is that looking and how are just overall numbers in the lower levels?
Yeah, our lower levels, our sophomore level numbers are really low. We always get big freshman numbers.
I think everyone's sophomore levels are low. And I'm telling you, Coach, that's been like a constant throughout the state.
Yeah, and that's been a big emphasis for me is trying to retain those guys from freshman to sophomore level and keep those numbers high. Well, our freshman levels are great. We're right about where we usually get for freshmen, given the pandemic, which is good for us. But we combined our lower levels. So our freshmen is going to play a frost schedule. They're going to play up on the sophomore level. Like I said, just this spring season, just give us time to get those guys ready for the fall. So.
And that's a lot more common than people might realize. There's a lot of that's going to go on this year because of it. So, schedule's out, as we talked about before we started recording.
Yeah.
We've already got a change of the schedule, and trust me, Coach, it's going to happen more and more across the state. Things are going to happen. So now you get a home game against Riverside Brookfield in week 1, and I mean, I like the schedule. Obviously, as we talked about, 5 out of 6 home games. You can you'll take that anytime.
Yeah.
But fill us in because there's some reasoning behind those home games. I know the fact that you have that brand new turf there has got to play a big role in that.
Oh yeah, for sure. We were gonna. Our schedule originally was 3-3, 3 home, 3 away. The other 2 home games that we got, both of those schools have grass fields. One's getting turf this month, I believe, or next month, and the other one has football and soccer on it, so that they just rather play their games on turf and try to protect their field as best. I'm not complaining. I love to play 5 home games, especially with the pandemic and all the protocols that are in place. So it won't be much adjusting from week to week and traveling to different schools and under their protocols and things. It's just be pretty normal for us and our guys.
One of the many things you've done since you've been there, which is unfortunate the way the schedule fell, is you always went hard non-conference. You always found, the handful of teams that really challenge you. But I'll tell you, the nice thing about this schedule, this 6-game schedule, is, and again, a credit to your conference, you got some great games in here. I mean, you mentioned you open hosting Riverside Brookfield. You host Lamont in week 2. Lamont and you guys have turned into a rival real quick, and that's a great game at Tinley Park. Again, hosting TF North, hosting Bremen, and hosting Richards. And Richards is another great game to finish out a 6-game season. So nothing comes easy for you guys at all this year.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely excited for the schedule. Riverside Brookfield, there's a good opponent that's going to replace 04s due to some things happening there. So I'm definitely happy with the schedule. It's definitely going to get our guys prepared for the fall. Looking forward to every game on the schedule. Of course, it's going to be a little extra incentive on the Lamont game.
Well, always, yeah.
The Richards game. So I can't wait for those games. I talk to those coaches all the time. We chat it up. So we're friends right now, but those games.
One night, yeah, changes, no doubt. No, that's great. So the one last thing I'm gonna ask you before we cut you loose is, you had a lot of time on your hands during this pandemic. You spent a lot of time at home, and any hobbies, anything you started to pick up during the pandemic that maybe you weren't doing before?
Actually, I bowl a lot, actually. So,
there you go.
Yeah, I like to bowl. So I kind of picked it back up during the pandemic, and I actually got asked to be an assistant on the girls bowling staff. So
There you go.
so that actually worked out well, and fed into my hobby. So yeah, I did a lot of bowling, and it was decided it was a good time for me to think and clear my head and get ready for the season.
You sure you could be okay as an assistant?
Yeah, yeah, I'm okay with this. And being a head coach of football is enough.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Coach. Hey, I appreciate the time, and again, just congrats on all the success, and just keep things rolling. Have fun this spring, and just reload the Hawks and be ready to go. So again, just appreciate taking the time.
All right, thank you for